Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to The Pulse. Welcome to you live from our studios here. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana's long-running pursuit of fugitive former MASLOC CEO Sedinam Tamaklo-Attionu has received a major breakthrough following her arrest and detention in the United States. We have details, including fresh legal insight, suggesting Sedinam's 10-year jail term has technically been running since the day she was convicted, even though she is yet to step foot in a Ghanaian prison.
If we are talking on the face of the law, the 10 years started counting from the day of the conviction until the law changes otherwise. A sentence takes effect.
Also this afternoon, local government minister Ahmed Ibrahim calls for Vice President to intervene to secure a finance ministry backing for a €1 million Spanish government grant to procure additional buses for the transport sector.
We'll get a grant of €1 million to be able to augment the fleet of Ayalolo. And we'll need your intervention for the Minister of Finance to give that letter of no objection.
Also this afternoon, the Pulse International Monetary Fund says Ghana defied the odds in 2025, meeting all indicative targets and performance criteria under the IMF program last year. We have details as we check if this is indeed correct here on the Pulse. My name is Faustina Safa. I appreciate your company. We'll be back with details after this quick turn. Please stay with us. Staying with us here on the Pulse. This afternoon, Ghana's long-running pursuit of fugitive former MASLOC Chief Executive Officer Sedina Tamaklo-Attionu has gained fresh momentum following her arrest and detention in the United States. Sedinam Tamaklo was convicted by an Accra High Court on 78 counts, including causing financial loss to the state, stealing and procurement breaches. However, she jumped bail and left the country even before judgment was delivered, forcing the court to proceed with a trial in her absence. Ghanaian ambassador to the U.S. Victor Smith says Sedinam Tamaklo has been detained by U.S. Marshals. We'll get into that shortly, but let me just walk you through how we got here and just refresh your mind with a chronology of events as to how we got here. That will come up shortly, but that is the statement put out by the U.S. ambassador to Ghana. Now we have the chronology on your screens, just detailing how we got here and what happened before. Let's move on to the next slide. So that prosecution for alleged corruption and financial misconduct relating to her tenure actually started between the year 2013 and 2016. That was when the issues came up as regards to her and the concerns that were raised about her ministry and her tenure as CEO of MASLOC. Now, she faced a total of 78 counts, like I told you, including the causing of financial loss to the state. The case had established that this was done during her tenure, as well as conspiracy to steal and stealing, money laundering, and breaches of the Public Procurement Act, all under her leadership as CEO of MASLOC. Now, these are some of the key things that was discovered in court when it comes to her misconduct. They stated that misappropriation of some 500,000 Ghana cedis involving Obatampa savings and loan funds under her leadership of MASLOC at the time was controversial. Also, diversion of over 1.7 million Ghana cedis meant for a national sensitization exercise, with only a small fraction used for the intended purpose. So this came up as well in court, and also incomplete distribution of some 1.4 million Ghana cedis for victims of fire incident at Kantamansu. Now, according to a statement by the Ghana ambassador to the US, the former MASLOC boss was detained by US Marshals on January 6th and has since been kept at the detention center. They were acting on an extradition request sent to the U.S. authorities sometime in July 2024. U.S. Marshals arrested Mrs. Tamaklo-Attionu and placed her in detention to await her day in court. Well, thankfully, I have the man himself, the Ghanaian ambassador to the U.S., Victor Smith, with me here on The Pulse. We appreciate your time and your company. I'd like to start with the briefing you received. You tell us that currently Sedinam Tamaklo is in U.S. detention, but where exactly?
You're not going to get a place to park.
Will go book later.
Listen. Hello?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, loud and clear.
Hello?
Okay, whilst we work the lines, you're still watching The Pulse. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick turn. I'm told we worked the lines now, and I appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Let's try one more time. I was just asking you that I've just been going through the statement you put out. You tell us that Sedinam Tamaklo has been detained by U.S. Marshals at a detention center. Can you tell us exactly where this center is?
No, thank you very much. I'm sorry for the mishap. I'm in a vehicle. I'm struggling to get in touch with you. Listen, I've issued a statement with the facts as presented to me by the U.S. authorities. It's particularly the ICE authorities, and they are our contacts into the U.S. security system. They have given us the facts as they have it. The U.S. Marshals picked up our sister, Mrs. Tamaklo-Attionu, on the 6th of January, same day as they picked up our brother Ken, by the ICE people. Now, she was picked up in Las Vegas and kept in a detention center in the Nevada state. And our brother Ken was picked up in Virginia, in Maryland, Virginia. Okay, so I couldn't confirm at the time about Mrs. Tamaklo's case because it was hearsay. Somebody called me to say that she's been picked up. And I said, well, until I get concrete evidence where she's being kept and confirmed by the authorities, I wasn't going to issue a statement. It was only yesterday that the confirmation came as to where she's being kept. And I've given you the address, of the detention center in the Nevada area. So that is all the facts that I have available.
Have you visited her yet?
No, I haven't.
Do I still have Victor Smith with me? Mr. Smith, I understand that you have muted your microphone. You may have to unmute for us to hear you clearly. You tell me that you haven't visited her yet. What immediate steps did you take when you received that confirmation from the U.S.?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Okay. So, well, you want me to start the whole thing again, or you are hearing me?
Indeed. So you tell me that you haven't visited her yet, right? I'm wondering what immediate steps you took. Immediately you received that information from the U.S. confirming her detention.
That was yesterday. I got the confirmation only yesterday. Now, the U.S. Marshals did the arrest of our sister, and the ICE did the arrest of Ken. That was in Maryland. So that ICE confirmed to us the same, the very next day, that was the 7th, and I put out a statement. And I'd heard the same day from the grapevine that our sister had been picked up. But I wasn't getting the information as to who picked her up and where she was. And I wasn't going to issue a statement at the time. So yesterday, were lucky to get the confirmation through the whole authority system and the security system in the US, confirming exactly where she was being kept with the address and everything given to us. And that's when I issued my statement yesterday.
But we've just been doing our checks, and we see that Sedinam Tamaklo is not listed at the Nevada Detention Center stated by Ghana's embassy in the U.S. Based on your checks,
who published that? Who's the person?
We're seeing an online story credited to Advocacy Radio, and they say that the reports that a detention facility where Sedinam is kept, as stated in the embassy statement, cannot be found on the website of the Nevada Detention Center.
What you're saying is that Advocacy have issued their own counter statement, but that is Advocacy Radio's, you know. I mean, I don't know where they're coming from, where they want to muddy the waters. They actually tried to speak to me earlier on. I would have spoken to them, but for this kind of mischief, to try and muddy waters. I have gotten it from official sources where this lady is being kept and that she's going to go to court on the 21st.
21st? You said she was arrested by the U.S. Marshals. Was this directly triggered by Ghana's extradition request? Or were there any parallel U.S. immigration or criminal considerations involved?
Let me say that U.S. Marshals are authorized by the Department of Justice in the U.S. system to effect arrest. The Marshals were authorized by the Department of Justice. Now, that one has nothing to do with, if you like, immigration as, ICE would do. ICE moving as the immigration, unit, okay? So the U.S. Marshals, different from the ICE people. Both are security agencies.
And is she being held strictly for extradition purposes, or are there other legal issues affecting her detention?
That is extradition purposes. There was mention of an extradition request as far back as July of 2024. That is the information I have. So that is the legal request that was acted upon by the U.S. Marshals.
But why is she being picked up now, even though that request was put in as far back as the year 2024? What is triggering this now?
Why do you want to ask me this question? I don't work with the Department of Justice in the U.S. system. They take their time to prepare their documents. If you remember, the Attorney General, in one of his press interactions recently, I think maybe as recent as last November or early December with the media, he did indicate that the authorities in the U.S. had informed him that they were almost finished with that request, all the documentation and the preparation for granting that request of extradition of Mrs. Tamaklo-Attionu. So the coincidence is what I don't know how it happened, but the one extradition of 2024 and then a more recent one for our brother Ken happened around the same time. The arrests were done on the same day. Ken would face the judge on the 20th, and Mrs. Tamaklo-Attionu will face the judge on the 21st.
Well, this is quite coincidental that is happening almost at the same time. Is there any underground negotiation with the U.S. that you are fronting that is leading to these efforts that we're seeing now?
I don't think so. There's a common denominator, is Ghana. They are both Ghanaians. So it is possible the Department of Justice decided to act around this time on the Ghana request.
There's no underground negotiation ongoing currently as we speak.
Well, I don't know from the Attorney General's angle, because he's dealing with the FBI as well. From Ghana, he's dealing with the Department of Justice and the FBI.
But what
mine is to just inform.
Oh, I see. And what legal hurdles remain even before she can return to Ghana? Realistically, how long could the process take? Going to court and getting a verdict?
You go to court, you make your case why you think you should not be extradited. And if you don't convince the judge, you are immediately removed from the country.
And if she decides to contest this extradition, what option does she have under the U.S. law? And how do you plan to maneuver it and counter it?
I don't, who, me?
The Ghana
Why me?
representative in court.
We're not supposed to go to court. We don't go to court. We go to, if the Ghanaian is in trouble with the law, we visit to just find out if they are being taken good care of health-wise and other things. That's all we do.
So there will be no representative throughout the legal proceeding in court from Ghana, even to observe?
No, if they're not allowing us to visit people at this point in time. We had wanted to. My officer is still trying to see if we can go to Sedina. Now, if they give us a chance, we will probably talk to her about what she wants done. She wants a judge, a lawyer, legal representation. If she doesn't have what it takes to get one, probably we'll secure one for her. But we don't know it as we speak now. Now we know where she is. We're going to make an attempt to see if we can speak to her and ask her exactly what she wants done for her, if it's within our means to do it.
But then, so far, based on your initial checks and digging, will they grant you this permission to engage her at least?
To engage her?
Yes.
Told the Nevada one, you couldn't visit her. I think you can only do either a video call or something like that. We're looking at all the options if we can engage her. You remember that in the case of our brother Ken, an attempt was made to visit. The ICE people agreed with me, but then eventually, nearer the time, he decided that he didn't want to see us. So that was the end of the story there. So we don't know what Ken wants done for him as a representative of our country here. Sedinam, we are trying to reach her. If we can get to speak to her, we'll ask her what she wants us to do for her, if it's within our means to do that.
And has Ghana submitted all the required documentation, at least, all the court records, just to aid the technical delays?
Let me say that I did not cite Sedina Tamakloe's extradition documents. I have not cited this. But I cited Ken's one, which came through my office during my tenure. So it is possible, same documentation from the Attorney General's department, compile the whole documentation before it is sent through our mission to the Department of Justice to make that request. I didn't cite Sedina's, but I presume it's the same type of documentation. I cited Ken's one, all right, and then submitted it to the Department of Justice.
And this case is most likely to drag on for months, if not years. In hindsight,
Drag on where?
Drag on in court, especially if she's contesting an extradition as well as that of Ken Ofori-Atta. We are told that he has a crack team of legal backing, and they're fighting this tooth and nail. But I'm just wondering, on the diplomatic front, legally, are there anything that you could do to aid the process?
If you asked me what advice I would give to our two brethren who have these issues, Ken and the lady was Mrs. Tamaklo, I would advise that they should come to Ghana and let us deal with this matter, because you cannot continue running away from your own country. That's my opinion. That's my personal advice to anybody. And then looking at the way that things are going in this country at the moment, the U.S. and the direction that the president and his team, the government is going, your chances of winning a court case, especially when it comes to extradition, with all the documentation provided, and the chances of winning or delaying the process are very slim. Be very frank with you, very slim. The judges will listen and then they make a pronouncement. And the chances of you succeeding to remain are very slim. I can tell you that.
And then once she's extradited, will she be taken directly into prison custody, or are there additional legal processes that she must go through in Ghana?
Unfortunately, I'm not a lawyer. But there's a due process. And once they leave this country, we will inform the Attorney General and the security personnel under instructions from the Attorney General, will do what has to be done by law.
And should Ghanaians expect a return at least within weeks or months?
I suspect weeks, within weeks. I mean, the court day, 20th for Ken and 21st for Mrs. Tamaklo, I can almost certainly suspect that it will happen immediately. So we're talking weeks more than months, in my opinion.
And will your embassy at least commit to providing regular public updates so that this case remains in the public space and do not fade away?
That's exactly what I've done. Once I'm able to get them, to come up to meet the system in Ghana, I've done my bit, and it's out of my jurisdiction.
And can you assure us that the extradition will not collapse due to technicalities or diplomatic delays?
I'm not in a position to say that, except that a judge will make that pronouncement on the day they come to court.
You've also been making some assurances for Ghanaians living in the U.S. What triggered that statement you put out when you visited the senator earlier?
Which senator?
You went to the Pennsylvania state senator and you mentioned negotiating to improve the lives of Ghanaian youth.
No, I didn't go to see a senator.
Okay.
I went to a detention center.
Okay.
And I spoke to the Ghanaians there.
Okay.
And I assured them, because it looks as if there's a group of Ghanaians who are trying to enter into America through unapproved routes without documentation, and the way the ICE people are going about, arresting them. I find it humiliating. So my advice to them was to, look, there are opportunities and you can build your life in Ghana, under the current administration. We are working hard to keep our own. We are trying to encourage more Ghanaians to invest in Ghana, those who have the wherewithal. And we're looking for foreign direct investments so we can build our country, create jobs and opportunities, well-paid jobs for our youth in our country. That's what I'm looking at. That's my preaching, and it has to be so. We cannot encourage our people to leave our country in droves to go and eventually be arrested in a rough manner as we see on the streets in America now. That's my advice and my candid, personal, heartfelt advice to the young people of Ghana. Don't get out of our country. Let's help build our country.
And are there any specific programs to aid this or initiatives that you're pursuing to achieve this advice you're giving out to the young people?
Well, I'm saying that I'm out here whipping up interest in Ghana of the opportunities that exist in Ghana for investors to come to Ghana, to partner in a strategic manner with Ghanaians, skilled Ghanaians here, if that will make the investor comfortable, because they know the culture, the way they do business here. If they can partner them to come to Ghana to create jobs and opportunities for our young people to also be gainfully employed and remunerated better than maybe they are getting paid for the job they do, maybe they'll be able to build their families and their lives in Ghana, and Ghana will become better than we have it at this point in time. And I assure them that if you make life in Ghana and you're successful and you get paid well, you never know, you'll be able to travel abroad as a tourist to come to the UK or the US or the developed nations and go back home and do your work and build your lives. That was the advice I was giving to the young people I met in the detention center and elsewhere.
And just before I let you go, how many Ghanaians are in detention center? What are their current state based on your visit?
Well, the detention center where I visited, there were 11 Ghanaians, 1 lady, and 10 guys. In total, under ICE arrest, we have a figure at the last count, it was 193 Ghanaians. And I think they keep, deporting them as and when they meet the judge and they don't have much of a case, and then there's a ruling, they are taken out, on the next available arrangement.
But health-wise, are they okay? Are they kept in a safe place?
Oh, yeah. I saw it myself. I went to as far as the dormitories where they were being kept. I went to the medical facilities for them. Very clean environment. They did not complain about any health issues. They just were not happy, of course, being in a cell, like a prison. They didn't like it. But they had come in illegally through unapproved routes, and then they got caught up with the law. There isn't much we can do for them.
Thank you so much, Victor Smith. He is ambassador to the United States. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Meanwhile, just like he told you, he's been visiting some detention centers, and he says he's negotiating to improve the lives of the youth of Ghanaians in other countries, and as well as the U.S. to prevent them from falling victims to harsh treatment of law enforcement units like Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in the U.S.
For the strategic partnerships with U.S. deep pockets of funds from U.S. in partnership with Ghanaians, professionals with skills to come into Ghana to invest, to create jobs for our young people and other opportunities, so they don't have to migrate as they're doing at the moment in these numbers and run into problems with ICE in America, for instance. If we've got them good jobs where they are properly remunerated, this migration will not be happening, and we'll be able to develop our country's economy. Currently, the current administration has managed to stabilize the country from, it was really slipping under the previous administration for some reason, but we've halted it. This year has been good. We want to build on, and consolidate the gains of this year in 2026, like last year in 2026. So.
While Victor Smith also focused on the urgent need for Ghana to reduce its heavy dependence on food imports, which continues to place significant pressure on the country's foreign exchange reserves.
Our biggest foreign exchange spending is on rice importation into Ghana. That is, we're trying to grow rice, but it is not enough to, support the need. So there's a lot of importation, spending so much money to bring rice. That's one product, food item. But agriculture as a whole, we want to be able to develop it in our country so that we don't have to spend so much money to bring in food. So it ties in with what you are doing here. You're trying to make agriculture literally the mainstay of your economy here. We want to do something similar.
Away from that, the International Monetary Fund has praised Ghana for what it described as defying the odds and meeting all indicative targets and performance criteria under its IMF-supported program in 2025. Speaking on PM Express last night in an interview with my colleague George Biafe, the IMF's country representative for Ghana, Dr. Adrian Alter, commended the country's performance under the program.
So what went into the board saying that we've passed almost all the critical indicators? Was it a real assessment, or you wanted us to pass so we end the program?
Ghana's program remains solid and on track, with the fifth review being completed and the disbursement being done in December, at the end of December. And now the total disbursement under the ECF program that you have rightly mentioned reached about $2.8 billion. Now the IMF board has met and approved the program on December 17 and categorized the performance, the overall performance, of generally satisfactory. All indicative and performance criteria targets have been met, and most of the reform agenda has been concluded and implemented. The authorities implemented strong corrective actions in the aftermath of the 2024 fiscal slippages. And the 2025 macroeconomic outcomes have been better than expected. Inflation came down faster than expected. Growth exceeded expectations. Reserves have improved. The currency appreciated and stabilized. There are many macroeconomic indicators that performed very well. At the same time, the debt restructuring progress has been advanced.
Well, join me in the studio is a member of our research desk here at JoyNews, Caleb Ziblim. He'll walk us through what the 2025 targets were and whether indeed Ghana met all of them. Hi, Caleb. What do we know?
Yes, for Sina. So what the IMF representative for Ghana, Dr. Alda, was saying that for the current IMF program that we are under, there are about 2 different categories. So we have the performance criteria and we have the indicative targets. And we also have some structural benchmarks that we need to meet. So the structural benchmarks take a longer time. But then for these 2, the performance criteria and then the indicative targets, they are usually short-term measures that you have to meet. And with the performance criteria, there's no negotiation. You have to meet them. So if you don't meet them, you don't get funding from the IMF. Which is why sometimes, instead of the program, instead of getting funding at a certain point in time, they have to extend for a few weeks or so because we've not met the performance criteria yet. So these are very important targets. And then for the performance criteria, we have 7 of them. And then the indicative targets, we have 4 of them. So we met all 7 performance criteria and all 4 indicative targets. And then when the representative from the IMF was speaking, he said this was not expected because if you look at how the situation was in 2024, at the end of 2024, we did not meet most of the performance criteria.
I see.
And once you don't meet your performance criteria, like I said earlier, you do not get funding for the next tranche. So these are very important numbers that you need to meet. So for the performance criteria, the most important one is usually your reserve accumulation. Okay. So this is how much you add to your stockpiles for rainy days. And the target was 493 million addition. So add 493 million cedis to your to your reserves. We did 1.2 billion addition. And in
impressive
fact,
performance.
Very impressive. And then this came on the back of gold and how, right now Ghana has control over the entire gold exports and all of that. So we did 1.2 billion as against a target of 400 million. So that's very good news. And in fact, at the end of the year, we did 13 billion in reserves. Considering where we're coming from, that's about 6 months of imports cover. And when we went to the IMF, that's the crisis in 2022 thereabouts, we don't even have a month of import cover. So if we have about 6 months, that's very good news. And then from there, we have 0 central bank financing. This means that the central bank should not give the government money to do its own, spending and all of that. Again, we have external borrowing. We are locked out from the capital markets, but then there's supposed to be no external borrowing. Again, we met this benchmark. Also, primary balance, the target was about 2 billion. We did 24 billion.
24?
Yes, 24 billion.
I see.
So the targets were very impressive, which is why we met all of them. And then I think the last two I'll talk on is debt repayment and inflation. So you have to be up to date with your debt repayment. Remember, we did some debt restructuring.
Indeed.
We've settled on the dates we are going to pay each of the debts as they mature. And if you miss a payment, it sends a very negative signal to the market. So you have to meet your debt repayment schedule. And in fact, last year, the finance ministry actually paid ahead of schedule. So instead of paying some debts in 2026, that this year, we paid some debts in 2025. So the 2026 debt was actually paid in 2025, which is good news for us. And finally, on the performance criteria is inflation. Inflation, the target was about 13% by September. We did 9.4% by September. And in December, we actually did 5.4-ish inflation rates by the end of December. And that's even below the Bank of Ghana's band targets of 6 to 10%. So for the performance criteria, we met all 7 of them, which is good news. And then from the performance criteria, we have the indicative targets. For your indicative targets, there are 4 of them. Your non-oil revenue, it has to grow. Your social spending, that's leave payments and all of that. You have to be consistent with your social spending. And then your loan disbursements, you should not take over a certain cap. The cap at the moment is $250 million. They're supposed to receive more than $250 million. We met that as well. And then the energy sector. Now, this is a very big problem for the country because you have to be consistent with your energy sector payments every single month. Now, part of the indicator targets is that you do not add new arrears to your energy sector. And this was a target that we used to fail a lot. We used to fail a lot because sometimes ECG was not paying their bills on time. But then
we had problems with collection of revenue.
Yeah, not just collection, even disbursement. Sometimes ECG collect the money, but they don't pay to the the IPPs and sector players.
Okay.
Yeah. So last year, according to the cash waterfall for mechanism reports that we've gone through, ECG has indeed paid all the debts on time. So every month, ECG pays the IPPs, they pay VRE, they pay GridCo and all of that. So no arrears accumulation in the energy sector. So again, we met all 7 targets, the performance criteria, which is non-negotiable. If you don't meet them, you don't get funded from the IMF. And then the indicative targets as well. These ones, you can miss some of them, but then if you miss some, it indicates that you're slipping through the program and the IMF will ask you to be in check. But again, we met all indicated targets. So this is good news for the IMF program.
It's good news for us. We barely have good news, but I'm so glad we have this. Thank you so much, Caleb, for giving us that. You're still watching The Pulse. We're back after this quick turn to talk politics. And on the campaign trail, we'll tell you what's happening where. Brian Champong is in the Greater Accra region for his campaign. Please stay with us. We have a conversation on that after this quick turn. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. With just 2 weeks to go for the MPP's presidential primaries, tension is rising within the party as Brian Champong intensifies his campaign. He's in the campaign trail in Ningo Prampram here in the Greater Accra region. He claims that he's the only candidate to have visited all 275 constituencies in the country. We'll interrogate that further here on The Pulse. Champong's camp insists that he's the most complete candidate. In fact, he likens himself to Kibo Gari, a mixture of everything, while challenging rivals including Samuel Abujinapo to explain why thousands who voted for them in the past have shifted support away from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Well, the flag-bearer hopeful highlights regional disparities, claiming that despite not winning seats in the Upper West region, the Upper East and Savannah region, his parliamentary candidates collectively outperformed Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Listen to him today when he was engaging some delegates. We'll be right back to have a conversation here on The Pulse.
All the parliamentary candidates' votes, they did better than our presidential candidates. Presidential candidate by 30,000 votes. Presidential candidate in Upper East, it was about 40-something thousand. If you go to Savannah, only 7 constituencies. Every parliamentary MPP parliamentary candidate beat our presidential candidate. And if you put it all together, 17 constituencies in Savannah. 7 constituencies in Savannah. Our parliamentary candidates beat our presidential candidate by 17,000 votes. Yesterday I saw Abujinapo on TV. Abujinapo is from Savannah. Savannah, a constituency called Damongo constituency. If you go to Damongo, Abujinapo beat our presidential candidate by a difference of 4,000. Abujinapo is MPP parliamentary candidate. So it means that 4,000 1,000 people voted for Abujinapo in Damongo. And when they got to our presidential candidate, Baumia, they walked away.
Well, thankfully, I have Yao Opoku-Mensah. He is spokesperson for Dr. Yao Edichum. I also have with me a spokesperson for Brian Achampong in the studio. He is going to be joining the conversation as we just look at some of the key things that have come up today. We're also going to be interrogators of the claims made by Dr. Brian Achampong as we look at how this would pan out. I have with me Eric Amwakuchum, his spokesperson for Brian Achampong. Well, thankfully, I have them in the studio. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll start with Eric because you're on the ground. You're in Ningo Krampram. Your candidate claims to have visited all 275 constituencies. Is that the case?
That's correct. But then to start with, good afternoon to you. And then good afternoon to my brother here. And of course to the viewers of JoyNews TV. Yes, that is indeed very true. As we speak, Dr. Brian Achampong is the only aspirant has actually visited all the constituencies that are going to come into play in the upcoming presidential primaries. And he has actually topped that with actually doing a phase 2. And so this phase 2 is actually is a zonal campaign that's bringing together on average 3 or 4 constituencies and also touching base with the grassroots. And then, of course, amplifying the message, because some of the constituencies that we went to, it was very clear that they wanted around 2. And Dr. Brian Achampong promised that he would finish the campaign across the country in earnest and then come back and visit those constituencies again. And so this essentially that's happened. We're going to use today and tomorrow to finish Greater Accra and then go into Eastern. So it might be the case that we might even finish the phase 2 before some of the candidates actually are able to finish either, if that's ever they are going to do that, are actually able to reach the other various constituencies.
I'll come to Yao Opoku-Mensah to respond to that and how your campaign is ongoing. But let me stay with you, because how is reception so far on the ground?
The reception has been awesome. I mean, to be honest, in all fairness, this is a family affair, and so wherever you go, you'll definitely get the party rank and file being enthusiastic and, of course, poised to listen to the message that you have. What we have is a convergence of purpose from both the delegates and that of the campaign, and that being that everybody knows that for every political party, the most important thing is to win elections. And now, it's very clear that going into the 2028 elections, it will be imperative for us to present Dr. Brian Achampong as a candidate to take us into the election in 2028. So there's a certain convergence of thought. It's almost as if that is a marriage made in heaven. They believe strongly that as a political party, that sole purpose is to win elections, form a government, put programs and policies together to inure to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. And so, to be honest with you, we are very much assured that come 31st January 2026, victory will be ours. But of course, we are not being complacent. And that's the reason why we've actually gone across the country and also touching base with some of the various constituencies across the country.
Your contenders, they've been receiving a lot of endorsement, even from delegates, MCEs, internal MPs in the party. Aren't you worried? Who is on your side when it comes to delegates?
Well, I mean, the most important point really is that you have close to 209,000 delegates. And when you talk about endorsements, if you put the sum of all of these endorsements together, I'm not sure to come up to 500. And so, I mean, I wasn't the best student in maths, but if you do an analysis of that and you take a percentage of that, that's a very marginal number. The party belongs to the grassroots. The party rank and file make those people who are actually making this endorsement. So, for example, for argument purposes, we're a member of parliament, and by dint of the fact that these same people have given you an opportunity to represent them, and you make an endorsement, does not necessarily mean that you have the support of the entire constituency. You have some members of parliament that won primaries and they beat their fellow contestants by 5, 6, 7 votes, and there were 3 or 4 people in the contest. So for me, really the most important thing is what the delegates, who are the party rank and file, saying. And in any case, it's very clear that they're also listening to the people in their various polling stations and of the view that it is important that the MPP presents a new candidate going to the 2028 elections for us to stand a chance of winning the elections. And Dr. Bernie Champong, based on all of these conversations, has proven that he has the track record, he has what it takes when it comes to his public service, in the private enterprise. He has shown exemplary abilities to be able to conceptualize and then turn these ideas into big, massive businesses that will straddle the private hospitality, real estate, IT, software development, and all of that for everybody to appreciate. So apart from that, you also have an individual that is on record to have been, if not the most influential when it comes to supporting the party financially, prior to the 2016 elections and beyond, and all of that, supporting the party in the Eastern region, supporting even other regions, and making sure that the party is well all to go into an election as crucial as the 2016 election. So some of these people lay their claim to their fame by virtue of the fact that the MPP won power in 2016 and they became ministers and CEOs and all of that. And it had to take people like Dr. Bernie Champong. Of course, everybody is important and we all, contributed our quota. But the reality is that it had to take individuals like that to probably go deeper into certain areas to bring the resources for us to actually win the elections. You know what I'm saying? So as far as we're concerned, Dr. Bernie Champong, when it comes to the party, when it comes to public service, when it comes to the private sector, that would enable us be able to generate some of the ideas and the vision that he has already shown to dovetail into public policy that will find work for young Ghanaians and young people across the country. It stands tall.
I'll come back to you to get your central message, even as you're on the campaign trail. But let me come to you, Poku Mensah. You're on the grounds as well. You've been very silent. No media interviews. Where are you? What are you doing on the ground? Let's understand so far.
Yeah, let me say a good afternoon to yourself and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, and to our lovely viewers. It's been a wonderful moment to join the campaign and being part of the whole process. What is important, as the Methodist team could say, once to every man and nation comes the moment to decide. Now, the decision that the NPP is about to make is a historical one, which will define the defining moment of the party, and in seeking a direction whether Ghanaians will embrace the choice that we bring out. That has got to do with how individual actors seek to protect the reputation of the party. We see this very contest as an internal contest, as he said. And therefore, we in our camp do not think that it requires that spectacle and the media fanfare within that. There is a targeted audience that we are dealing with, specifically with delegates, which are cut out. We know every individual who is part of this process, and therefore the message is tailored towards these individuals.
But you agree you have to market your candidate.
Exactly, that's what we are doing. And go to the voter region to see for yourself the euphoria that the Addiction factor has built today in voter region. Whole Central, Abwetime, etc. Today,
but we're not seeing anything. How do we know?
It's not what you are seeing. I believe your people do have some clips for you to see. The report has always been with what the media brings out. Probably you are looking for Dr. Extradition to throw some jabs out there, to be up in the public space for a discussion, attacking left, right. That is not part of what we do.
Far from the case, but we expect him to sell his message.
Exactly. We have, just on your screens, you will see what's happening in the voter region. Dr. Extradition with the people in the voter region campaigning, telling them about the Addiction factor, what does the Addiction factor stands for, and the kind of reception that we have received so far in all the regions that we've visited, the constituencies that we've visited, one thing remains clear, that the party is looking towards a direction, and that direction is anchored on the message and the leadership of Dr. Osei-Attionu. The message that is bringing the hope back to the rank and file of the party, the message that is building the space and renewing the confidence in the party people that indeed we can do it and win power back to the NPP in 2028. And that is contingent on electing Dr. Osei-Attionu as the flag bearer of the NPP. And we do respect the dictates of what the party has set out. And therefore, we are measured in everything that we do. We are measured in the sense that we are careful in dealing with the whole system, ensuring that the message that we are giving out is a bread and butter issue, messages that gives back the confidence and the motivation, the hope back to the masses.
What's your central message?
The central, we are waging war against poverty. That is what we seek to do. Successive governments have done their bit. Mind you, somebody probably may say, oh, this is an internal contest. What has that got to do with the nation? The NPP is looking for a presidential candidate.
How will you wage war on poverty?
That's the question. Now, we are waging a war against poverty on the basis of the policies and programs that we seek to bring on board to alleviate the people from the poverty that we find ourselves. We believe poverty is local. Example of what Dr. Osei-Attionu has demonstrated in his constituency, Bosomtwe, giving dignified life to 150 young men and women, training them in engineering and medicine, because it is our belief that the Ghanaian people must live long. We don't want a situation whereby you walk in our facilities and you see 45 years written, called to glory. What is glorious about somebody called to eternity? You ask yourself, what should we have done better to ensure that the average Ghanaian live longer? By so doing, we seek to bring on board mobile medical services. You sit in the comfort of your home, and a medical doctor and a nurse assigned within that vicinity visit you to do primary checks on you before any escalation of what will lead you into the hospital. So you wouldn't see a nurse coming in there just on the basis of coming to do immunization. No. The Brazilian experience must be replicated in this country. And again, with his famous quote, we must engineer ourselves out of poverty. How then do we do that? We need to give dignified life, dignified training element to our young men and women to be able to catch up and match up with what is happening in the world. Look at what is happening all over. The Singaporeans, look at what is happening in Vietnam. 10% of the entire population every year produced into the engineering space. By so doing, you tilt the fortunes of what we see now in every home. That is why we are pledging and telling delegates that every year Dr. Osei-Attionu seeks to train 100 engineers from the constituencies, 20 medical doctors as part of the build-up, so that we build a strong fundamental element in ensuring the socio-economic development of what we aspire for is well achieved. We cannot do that.
How many delegates are on your side?
Come again?
How many delegates are on your side?
The rank and file of the party is on our side. And that is why...
You have a number.
The number has in what?
The entire delegates.
My brother is on our side. My brother
Which your brother?
He's a party member. He is on our side. Just that he's working for Brian.
Brian.
Yeah, he's working for Brian, but he's on our side. That's what the spectacle see. That is what the spectacle see. But the D-Day on the 31st of January, I am assuring you, the party people are listening to me, the public will be my witness, that there will be only one declaration. The declaration of Dr. Osei-Attionu as the flag bearer of the NPP. What is astonishing, you know what?
Very interesting you make that point. I'll come to you.
Before you go.
Just before I'll come back to you, because there's a lot to talk about there. I'll be putting together some of the key concerns that have been raised, especially with, I'm sure you've seen a lot of polls by Global Info Analytics.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot.
And they've been giving you quite shocking numbers, the number of individuals they have sampled. 1%, only 1% on your side.
Listen.
And so we'll come back to that. I'll come back for your reaction, but let me come to Brian, the Champions Cup, and find out what their central message is.
Yeah, he's my brother, so I'll spare him this one.
Okay.
And I don't want us to digress. But the reality is that we are in this race because like I indicated earlier, the party needs an individual that will be able to win as power in 2028. Dr. Bernie Champon is preaching the whole concept of unity, making sure that the party is united, and not just united in words, but then we have a single purpose, and our conviction is to win election in 2028. That will require a certain level of discipline. And so what he has done is that whilst we're preaching unity, he's also preaching that as presidential candidate for the party, he would ensure that there's discipline, and discipline is instilled in the New Patriotic Party so that we'll all be singing in harmony, we'll be in tune with each other, and then prosecute a campaign come 2028. Now, apart from that, I mean, because it's an internal process, everywhere you go, the party rank and file would ask you, so what is in it for us? And he's saying that, yes, you guys are the wheel, you're the people that actually make the party tick. And so Dr. Bernie Champon is saying that whatever it is, whatever benefits that is supposed to accrue to you, whatever resources and logistics that you require to be effective and efficient as a delegate, as a polling station executive, as an electoral area coordinator, as a constituency officer, as a regional officer, these things will come to you directly so that you'll be able to use that, harness the local knowledge as well that you have to be able to make sure that the MPP triumphs in your community, at your polling station, in your electoral area, and in your constituency or region. So those are the three trust conversations that he's been having with the electorate. Then he talks about his vision. His vision is very broad. He's talking about ensuring that there's security. And when you're talking about security, he's split it into two. National security, ensuring that as a country, we have safe borders, we have systems in place to support our security agencies to ensure that the Ghanaian people are safe. For every environment, for every economy to be able to thrive, you definitely need an environment that is peaceful for people to be able to go about their normal duties for that to happen. He's talking about food security by virtue of his tenure as Minister of Agriculture, ensuring that we have systems in place, we put mechanisms in place, adding technology to these things to ensure that we have enough food in this country, we have enough supply of these products, add value, and then of course able to export these things and for us to get the needed foreign exchange that we want. So that is that space. He's also talking about industrialization, making sure that we find ways of adding value like I indicated. Then he's also spoken about infrastructure development, making sure that as a country we invest in humongous infrastructure for the development of this country. So you're talking about issues with our roads, our railways that we've spoken about, other major infrastructure that we are lagging behind even as a continent, so that we'll be able to take advantage of these things, and then our position in Africa as a hub for transport and all of these things. And he doesn't say these things in a vacuum. This is an individual that on his own accord, through private enterprise, is building an airport that has the longest runway in the world.
So it looks very juicy.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside.
This is. Let me make my point.
Okay.
This is an individual that, on his own accord, through private enterprise, is built the biggest hotel chain owned by an individual in Africa. If you go to Rock City, over 1,000 rooms thereabout. This is an individual that has investment in software development that is playing major roles in our insurance sector, in our banking sector, in our public sector, payroll management system. In Ghana alone, you have 1.2 million transactions a day using software that has been developed by Dr. Bernie Champon. If you go across the continent, talking about 8 million transactions. So if you have an individual that even understands the role of information systems, information technology, by virtue of the fact that apart from working in that space, has actually acquired a PhD in information systems. This is an individual who understands, who gets it, who will be able to put these things together, conceptualize, and find work, meaningful work for the ordinary Ghanaian youth.
So on the surface, it looks good. And it appears you have a lot of information about your candidate, and you keep going on and on. But then let's look at some internal concerns you have raised, even your camp in the northern belt of the country. You raised concerns that delegates are being pressured by party executives to endorse a specific candidate. You raised that concern, a brand from the northern region. How far has that concern gone when it comes to the party leadership structure? Are they addressing it?
I mean, so one of the key things that happened even prior to starting this campaign was this admonishment from the candidate himself that there are certain things that, I mean, of course, in the public domain, we are not allowed to discuss, and of course, not cast aspersions and all of these things. The matter has been raised. It was raised by the party in that particular region. As far as I'm concerned, the people, the authorities involved would investigate and deal with it. It's an internal process. Of course, people would want to use the authority to come to bear on certain individuals by virtue of the authority that they wield, but we believe strongly that Dr. Brene Champon, come 31st January 2020.
So you're avoiding the issue, but you might be concerned.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Internally, this will affect your candidate, especially.
The issue has been dealt with.
It has been dealt with?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's been spoken about. Whoever is in charge, we have a presidential election committee, right, who are supposed to deal with some of these things.
And have they dealt with it? Have they invited the individuals?
Yeah, and that also speaks to the whole conversation around discipline and making sure that even in a process like that, if you are someone who holds or wields a certain position of authority, use it in a fair manner so that it doesn't create some of these challenges.
But the individuals, at least mentioned by the individual that held the news conference on behalf of Brene Champon's team in that region, raised concerns that he even have audios. Have those individuals in the audios been at least sanctioned by the party internally?
I'm not in a position to say, but I'm saying that those are distractions. It's been dealt with. We have a team on the ground that will be able to analyze and figure out exactly what is going on and monitor some of these things on a regular basis. Of course, when they have concerns, they will raise it as a campaign. We are bold enough to raise these things if it comes up. But like on a national platform like this, I mean, I don't think that there's a platform for us to discuss it. We believe strongly that issues have been raised, it will be dealt with. And it's even almost like a call to the party leadership and all of that to ensure that these things are eschewed, because once you finish this process, right, you'd have to now find a way of making sure that whoever emerges victorious is magnanimous enough to bring the rest together. But then you can't, of course, dream these reconciliations if, I mean, the acts leading to the process itself is, I mean, bedeviled by some of these challenges. So, I mean, I think that we all have a responsibility. I mean, I come from a constituency. I can, by virtue of whatever, lay or wield some kind of influence, so as he or other persons and all of those things. But what would inure to the benefit of the New Patriotic Party is for us to emerge from this process as one unit, as a party that is united, as a party that is confident in its ability to put together programs and policies that will inure to the good people of Ghana. That is what's most important. And so that's why, like I indicated earlier, we spoke about unity, we spoke about discipline, and of course you get an opportunity to also talk about what you have done for the New Patriotic Party, right? And then your vision for the party itself and their vision for the country. And Dr. Brene Champon has shown clearly that all the places that he has visited has been on message, has made sure that he's spoken about these things, and everything that he has done has been devoid of casting aspersions and insults and all of that.
Okay, let's look at some of the key findings from Global Info Analytics. I'm sure you've seen their recent polls. They say that Bawumia remains the front runner when it comes to the race. They peg his votes based on the individuals they sampled at 45%. Kennedy Agyapong is close to him, 31%. Brene Champon is 3%, and Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum 1%. I'm sure you've seen these polls. Are you worried about your performance? Yes, 1%.
No.
Based on the individuals they sampled.
No, that's far-fetched. What is important?
It's far-fetched?
Sure.
Why?
What's important is that I believe any serious aspirant within this race all have an internal mechanism knowing their strength.
Okay.
And therefore, you have to assess your strength before you make a declaration or even communicating that intent to even contest for this very elections. And therefore, polls privately done by individuals as part of deepening the conversation, as part of a certain psychological element to try and tilt the fortunes towards a certain direction. It's not what we are looking at. Our internal polls give us a different understanding of.
You've done your personal internal polls?
Yeah, we do it consistently.
And what numbers do you have?
You can individually verify from the delegate. Consistently, we do it.
Okay.
Now, if you follow the activity before the declaration of intent to even contest, that was made clear that our internal mechanism is the one urging us to be in this race.
But we want to know the findings based on your internal...
But that's our strategy.
No, but we need to know. It must be, Jerry.
He's here.
You must tell us so that we know. Obviously, you know something we don't know.
He's here. No, that's something that we need to keep to our chest. That is what directs our footsteps. That is what has dictated the paces to how we engage. What kind of message are we giving out? And what kind of engagement? How do we even crisscross across the length and breadth of the country? Where do we touch even base first? Which constituency? How do we go about it? Community entry, etc.
Is there anything that's happening within the party or even throughout the campaign that's of concern to
Fortunately, I've been part of the flag bearership committee, the elections committee of the party. I've sat in 1 or 2 meetings. Every item which is of concern, we table it before them. Mind you, I indicated to you that this is an internal contest, and therefore we cannot on our own accord be discussing internal matters in the media space, of which it wouldn't even inure to the benefit of the party. Mind you, the ultimate responsibility is to be able to gather all our arsenals and marshal the troops to face the NDC in 2028 and eventually win that elections. And therefore, it's important as a party person respecting the very structures of the party and ensuring that whatever difficulty you have with regards to the process is taken to the appropriate office. And that is basically what we've done since the day that we declared our intention to be part of this process. And that is what has dictated our pace. And that is why Dr. Attionu, any material moment he gets the opportunity to canvass or deal with delegates, it is about what he has done, what he is capable of, and what he seeks to bring on board. The only aspirant who stands in front of delegates and give account for his stewardship whilst he was in government, what he is doing privately as a member of parliament, what he did privately before even coming into this whole political space, and his contribution to the party since its foundation in 1992, leading fundraisings in the diaspora, Southern California, climbing up to becoming the vice chair of the chapter in Southern California. His contribution to the party, not only during the 2024 elections, but what he has done, of which he is always uncomfortable finding that discussion in the media space. He believes he's only offering a service to the party, and where the party stands becomes what he has achieved, rather than mentioning this is what I did for the party and therefore I do require this or this service should be rendered to me. No. His contribution is on the quiet, and the party people know. Those who have dealt with the party in the diaspora in this country as well know. His contribution to the fortunes of the party is well documented, and it is well known. What is important is to think about the Ghanaian. The Ghanaian at the center of attraction. That is why I mentioned the war against poverty and winning it. The Ghanaian is at the center of this whole discussion.
But even after the internal primaries, you have the next big thing, which is general elections. Yeah. Is Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum the candidate you think can win power for the MBB upcoming
The voice of the people, the voice of the delegate themselves, point to the direction of Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum.
I see.
Because the only candidate who has offered that leadership that they've been yearning for, a practical example of his demonstration of what he did in government as part of the accountability process. And therefore, delegates are able to pinpoint out some of those accounting elements within their own constituency and their district to him. And that is the basis of what leadership is all about. We need to know what you've done before, what you bring on board, what you can offer as if we should give you that mandate to lead. Okay. Mind you, delegates are representing thousands of people. And it is that quality decision that will make will rather tell the direction, whether the fortunes of the NPP will be bright or not. We seek to make history. And the history that we seek to make is about you and I. It's about how to build a formidable force and make the Ghanaian believe in themselves again, not just for the NPP.
You believe your candidate.
Exactly the point.
Okay, let me go to Brian's.
Before you go,
because we're wrapping up the conversation. We have to go.
We are just a liner.
Okay, give me a liner.
Just a liner. This is what a patriot told me.
Who?
A patriot.
Who?
A patriot.
Who? Mention the person's name.
No, just a patriot.
We're on the same page.
When we say patriot for the NPP, they know who are the patriots.
Okay.
Every NPP member is a patriot. This is what they say. Yeah. The kind of transformational thinking, that generational thinker, that fortune changer in Dr. Extradition as an individual is what we are waiting for. Thank you for supporting that process and bringing Dr. Extradition to us. And that is what is going across the lens. That is the kind of euphoria which has created down there. That is why they are quiet and doing that and showing that love on 31st.
I'm hoping that after the elections, we'll also have this conversation.
No, we are coming here to celebrate the victory.
Oh, okay.
In your studio here.
So
make sure you come with a white attire and a white handkerchief.
Let me go to Brian's camp as we wrap up the conversation. I'll start with your reaction to the different polls in circulation. Are you worried about the performance of your candidate?
Oh, just a quick one. So my boss is on record to have said that when he becomes president, he will definitely make sure that Dr. Extradition continues his good work as Minister of Education. Maybe even add a portfolio for poverty reduction.
He sees that quality element that you cannot do away with.
Poverty
Just
reduction,
give it to him.
which is actually a plus, and it shows how forward-thinking and progressive that Dr. Bernie Champon is. But apart from that, I mean, I've seen these polls. No serious candidate will go into an election without commissioning research. We do research on a daily basis. I have been part of processes that go into constituencies and actually, I mean, not even divulge our strategy and actually profile and make sure that we know that these are our people or not, and who is here and who is where, and how we find ways of actually getting them to come onto our side. And so in as much as we would use these polls, they are just academic exercises and theoretical exercises that, of course, we would find time to analyze and evaluate and either triangulate that or look at that together with what we have.
But based on your internal polls, how are the numbers looking?
And that's what I'm saying. That I mean, we are extremely confident that we would emerge victorious, but we will not discount any poll that's been done by anybody, because any serious academic will tell you that once you see these things, you would sort of look at it. You would first of all even look at the sample size. You do a certain extrapolation. You triangulate. You look at it if it's compared to whatever it is that you have, and if you have 2 or 3 different sources, you would compare and you do an evaluation. We believe strongly that we have a proven method. We have a superior strategy when it comes to analyzing these data, and we are firm in our mind and belief that we will emerge victorious. So yes, of course, I mean, we all have done research. We all understand what it takes. Sometimes you would want to question the modalities and even the methodology that's being used, but that's fine. Those are people's enterprise. We don't want to kill that. But the reality is that every serious candidate would ensure that they commission research. And you do that on a consistent basis. And as we speak today, if the elections was held today, we would win. If it would be held tomorrow, we would win. If we held on the 31st of January 2026, we will win.
I'm looking forward to having this to you after the election.
It's also, like I said, it's not just that. This is based on the fact that you have a candidate that has defied logic. You know, so we have people who have contested before, who have tried these things over the period, and nobody has found time to, in record time, 3.5 months. I mean, you were saying that they're in Volta region, and I'll tell you why our resources on the ground are even superior. They're in the Volta region. They're visiting 3 constituencies. And so how can you be in a Volta region and visit 3 constituencies and use it as a basis for... So I'm sitting here. I'm telling you.
We started our voter engagement today. We started our voter engagement today.
But let me make the point.
And we deal with 3 constituencies within a day. Until we are done.
Let me make my point.
So we started today.
No, listen. He made allusions to the fact that they have taken Volta region. And I'm sitting here and I'm telling you how superior our ground forces. And you've only done 3 constituencies.
Listen,
how many constituencies have you done?
I don't need that context of the medicine to be able to know whether I will be healed or not.
30 seconds each, we have to go. 30 seconds. Hold on, 30 seconds. Let him finish. 30 seconds, we have to go.
I just use that as an example to tell you how superior our ground game is. And I'm telling you that, of course, this is a friendly contest. When we are done, we would all come together. I'm sure we'll be sitting on this platform now having conversations as to how the MPP has the superior...
Should you lose, you would support whoever wins?
But that's not even a question that you should ask me. We've been part of this process for a long time. And the party remains supreme. Whatever the party brings to the fore as whoever we should support, we will support that person. You understand? So for that, it's not a question. The reality is that the election in 2028 is a totally different election. The dynamics are different. You're going to have young people who are going to be on the roll for the first time. Close to 70% of these people on the roll are going to be people between the ages of 18 and 35. You have a candidate, 53 years old, who has shown exemplary acumen in business, in public service. And all of these things comes to bear when you want to motivate young Ghanaians and tell them that it is possible for a Ghanaian to be able to do all of these things and also put themselves forward to serve. And for us, we believe that it goes beyond politics, but it touches on the very essence of who a Ghanaian is.
Mr. Mensah, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, counting now.
Now, what we need to understand in this process is that the call for unity, etc., rests on the shoulders of Dr. Tamaklo-Attionu. You and I, all those we are around this table, know, I can attest to the unity element and how Dr. Tamaklo-Attionu has conducted himself throughout this process. And what he has done is a proof and a testament of his quality leadership and service to the party. And therefore, the talk of unity, etc., can only be seen in the conduct of Dr. Tamaklo-Attionu throughout this process. And therefore, that is why it is important, aside a strong home region of which he brings on board, what is important that we need to realize, especially from delegates, is that we have the finest opportunity to make history. That history can make or break the NPP. And that history is what Ghanaians are waiting for, to embrace the leadership of Dr. Tamaklo-Attionu and return us back to Jubilee House. We cannot afford to miss this opportunity. This is the finest opportunity that we can get. I don't know when we will get that again. Let us vote for number 4, Dr. Tamaklo-Attionu.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's about you.
It's time to go now. I've been engaging Eric Amakochum, his spokesperson for Bryony Champion's campaign team. Also, Yao Pukumenta, spokesperson for Dr. Yao Ose-Edutrum. You're still watching The Pulse. After this quick turn, we'll take you to the Bank of Ghana headquarters and tell you what exactly is happening if you stay with us. Well, thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, I have a conversation for you with the Sales and Marketing Manager for Easy Paints, Zenobia Opoku-Dakwa. This afternoon, we want to tell you how you can make your houses free of any leakages, even as we expect the rainy season in a few months. So what solutions do they have for you? That's what Easy is here to tell us. So what really... As a young person, if I'm looking to build or buy, what should I prioritize in my home structure?
Okay. Thank you so much, and good evening to your cherished viewers. So once you think of building, the first thing that has to come to your mind is how to protect the home when you're building it. You know, I see most of our homes, we build them. Once we're in a rush to build, we don't even check.
Zenobia, please stay with me. We would have to take a quick turn right now. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Well, I still have with me Zenobia Opoku-Darkwa, and you were just telling us what we should look out for if we're looking to build and buy. What should be priority for us?
So what we have to look out for the moment you start thinking of even getting a land is to have a look around where you're building the homes. You know, most of the houses we build because you're being in a rush to avoid some rent somewhere. So you just rush and then you put the building up. Then you get into the house and then you end up having to repaint the house or having to refix something concerning the main home in maybe 3 or 6 months. So we came together and then we had a look at the main problems that affect our homes. And we saw that one, the lands that we are building on mainly has water in them. So you get to the house and then the water just seeps into your homes. And it starts giving you problems on your walls. So you start, noticing these geographical walls like markings and things on your walls. You just don't pay so much attention to it. Then it escalates and becomes something very nasty that you don't even find it, welcoming to go to your own homes. Then we made this product we are talking about today, the easy waterproof paint. I tell people that it is not just to solve your leakage problems, but it is to protect your homes. Because one, it works on your foundation. If where you're building your house is a waterlogged area, and then it protects the walls if maybe the water or there's salt where you're building, so that you don't end up having to see all this peeling of the walls. So that is why you need the easy waterproof.
And can it work on concrete when you have like a concrete wall? Will it work?
Perfect. Perfect. I sent some pictures. I don't know if they can upload it. Once you have the concrete, either it's a roof concrete, either it's the walls or the floors. All we need to do is, if it's a new building and it has just been plastered, perfect. We just apply it on it. If it's an old wall, then we come in and then we have to do some cleaning, thorough cleaning, because before you apply this waterproof, we have to make sure that the surface that you have to apply it is very cleaned. That is why we insist that before you use the easy waterproof paint, the surface has to be clean, either the roofs, either the floors or the walls.
And how about if you use roofing sheets that are made of, those days we used to call them chens and slates. Can you even use that?
It works perfectly on it.
Okay.
Perfectly. I keep telling people who, are blessed to inherit old homes not to do away with their roofings. All we need you to do is just be nice to the young men in your neighborhood. Let them go on top of that building, wash that place with, iron or hard brushes with some soapy water. It becomes clean once it's dry, and then we apply the easy waterproof paint on top of it.
And is it even effective with exterior if I'm painting outside?
Yes, it works both exterior and interior.
Okay.
That is the nicest thing about this. I was discussing with someone, we went to work on his home, and because he has the solar panels on the homes, we couldn't do the part that had the panels on top. So I was telling him, it doesn't matter, we'll come and then do it inside the house where the ceilings are. We'll do it in there so that it will still protect the leakage. And it works perfectly. But the only thing is, if you're using it exterior, you need a day for it to dry. When it's interior, you need 2 days for it to dry.
And can I do it myself at home, or do I have to reach out to Easy Paint? You have specific individuals you work with to aid with the painting?
Okay, so we have people who do it. Okay. But we also train your special bra Kwame, who is your favorite carpenter or your favorite painter. We'll show him all the nice works to do for you and the correct way with your presence. Some of these are people, they are very beautiful people, yes. Sweet at heart. So you tell them to do something and then they would want to do something else. So we'll give them the basic ways to go. One, If you're home and you're watching us and you would want to use the easy waterproof paint, kindly note the first thing is, if it's an old building, kindly scrape, like that nasty thing you're seeing on TV, scrape everything from the walls down. Do a thorough sandpaper. Get soapy water and a damping cloth, clean the entire wall, and then you're good to apply the easy waterproof paint. My dear painters, cleaning first. If it's old sandpaper, cleaning with water and brush, drying, then application.
And finally, how do I get easy waterproof paints? Locations, numbers to call? Please tell us.
Okay, so our main office is at Abeka Junction. We're just adjacent to the Allied filling station or closer to the Shell filling station from the Achimota Way. You can give us a call on 0243 707696. 0243 707696. We distribute to every part of Ghana and even beyond Ghana. So wherever you're watching us from and you would want to get easy waterproof paint, kindly call the numbers on your screen and then we'll make it available if we don't have an outlet there.
Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. So you heard it here first, you know the numbers to call if you want easy waterproof paint. Well, away from that, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, is engaging the media today as part of a New Year interaction to outline key monetary policy direction and also reflect on developments in the financial sector. He is also going to be sharing the bank's outlook for the year ahead. Let's head straight now to the headquarters of the Bank of Ghana. The governor there about to address the media.
Of Ghana, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all, and let me begin by wishing you a happy new year. This annual engagement with the media has become an important tradition for the Bank of Ghana. It offers an opportunity not only to reflect on the year that has just ended, but also to situate our work within the broader national conversation. As this is my first New Year media engagement as governor, I value the opportunity to speak with you directly and to set the tone for how we will continue to engage going forward. Now, let me be frank. The year 2025 was not an easy one. It required difficult judgments. It required careful sequencing of policy actions, and it required sustained discipline across institutions. 2025 was a year of adjustment for the economy, for markets, and for households. And indeed, there were many of these. We've had to pass some new laws. We have amended some. We had to introduce new guidelines for the markets. We have broadened the frontiers for financial intermediation, all within 1 year. So through it all, the media, that is yourselves, you've played an essential role in helping Ghanaians to understand what was happening and why certain difficult choices were being made and what those choices were intended to achieve. And for playing that role throughout last year, I say thank you. Now, on the role of the media in a period of adjustment, Dr. Zakaria has spoken at length on these, but permit me to just run through a few points. A free, independent, and responsible media is a cornerstone of democratic governance. In the context of a central bank, your role is particularly important. Monetary and financial policy decisions are often complex, and yes, they are complex. Their effects are often indirect, and their benefits are rarely immediate, what we call policy lags. The way these decisions are explained, the way they are contextualized, and the way they are reported can therefore influence expectations, it can influence confidence, and it can influence behavior across the economy. Scrutiny is not only legitimate, it is necessary. Constructive questioning strengthens institutions and it improves public understanding. At the same time, we all recognize that economic information carries weight. In periods of adjustment, incomplete or poorly contextualized reporting can unintentionally heighten uncertainty or undermine confidence, with real consequences for households and businesses. Our expectation as a central bank, therefore, is not compliance, but responsibility, i.e., accuracy, balance, and context. Our commitment in return is openness, engagement, and respect for your constitutional role. That balance, my friends, is essential. And it is essential to financial stability and to public trust. So now let me tell you a few things about how we think about policy at the Bank of Ghana. First, our decisions are data-driven and forward-looking. We do not respond to pressure. We do not respond to speculation. And we do not respond to sentiments. We respond to evidence. We respond to risks. And we respond to the medium-term outlook for price and financial stability. Second, we prioritize stability over speed. In rebuilding credibility and restoring order, quick fixes in many cases are rarely durable. Our focus has been on policies that can be sustained even when they are uncomfortable in the short term. Third, we operate an institution not as individuals. Central banking is collective. It is disciplined work, and decisions are taken through established frameworks informed by analysis, debates, and yes, we do have lots of debates in-house, as well as professional judgment. These principles, colleagues, guided our actions in 2025, and these same principles will continue to guide us in this year, 2026. So what did 2025 represent? For the Bank of Ghana, 2025 was a year of restoration, restoring macroeconomic stability, rebuilding confidence in policy, and re-establishing order across key segments of the financial system. At the macroeconomic level, the bank's foremost priority was anchoring inflation expectations and restoring stability. Through disciplined monetary tightening, effective liquidity management, and clear policy communication, inflation declined steadily from 23.8% in December 2024 down to 5.4% by the end of December 2025, with underlying price pressures easing over the course of the year. These outcomes reflected consistency in policy execution and a deliberate focus on restoring credibility to the monetary policy framework. In the banking sector, we made solid progress in strengthening resilience and supervisory effectiveness. Regulatory reforms were advanced to improve risk identification and mitigation, including enhanced stress testing, stronger recovery planning requirements, and refinements to the risk-based supervisory framework. Engagement with regulatory institutions and collaboration with fellow regulators were also strengthened, reinforcing the foundations of a more stable and a more disciplined banking system. Progress was also made in capital market development, particularly in advancing discussions around bank listings and working with market regulators and stakeholders. The bank supported efforts to encourage greater use of public markets as a means of strengthening governance, transparency, and market discipline within the financial sector. In the foreign exchange market, 2025 marked an important shift toward greater transparency and order. The bank implemented a rules-based FX auction framework, strengthened market oversight, and we introduced improved reporting mechanisms as well as enforcing compliance to curb market abuse. These measures contributed to improved price discovery, reduced distortions, and a gradual restoration of confidence in the FX markets. Now, the bank's gold programs also played a strategic role during the year. Through the domestic gold purchase program, external buffers were strengthened, FX pressures were moderated, and confidence in Ghana's external position improved. As a result, gross international reserves rose to over $13.8 billion, equivalent to approximately 5.7 months of imports cover. This was historic. I have not seen such levels since I joined the central bank way back in 1995. Now, while these programs involved costs, they delivered tangible stability benefits and should be understood as strategic interventions that were undertaken in support of macroeconomic and external resilience. On the legislative front, significant institutional reforms were secured. Parliament passed the Bank of Ghana Amendment Bill 2025, strengthening central bank independence, enhancing accountability, and reinforcing safeguards around central bank financing of government. And that piece of new legislation is an important one. If we had that in 2022, maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have had haircuts. We would have been compelled probably to seek help from the IMF more timely. And today the results would have been different. And so with those amendments, we believe that we are better positioned going forward. These reforms represent an important step in aligning Ghana's central banking framework with international best practice. In payments and digital finance also, notable progress was recorded in strengthening infrastructure and system resilience. Through GIPS, GIPS, by the way, is one of our subsidiaries. Through GIPS, payment systems were modernized, instant payment capabilities expanded, and interoperability across platforms improved. Then the passage of the Virtual Asset Services Bill, which has now been passed into law, also marked an important milestone, laying the foundation for a regulated and orderly approach to emerging digital asset activities. So taken together, these efforts helped restore macroeconomic stability, improve coordination between monetary and fiscal authorities, and place the economy on a firmer footing. The gains were hard-won and achieved through discipline, restraint, and institutional effort. They carry with them a responsibility to protect stability, to act with humility, and to remain faithful to the public trust placed in the Bank of Ghana. So what is the direction of travel for 2026? Friends, with stability restored now, 2026 is about consolidation and discipline. The bank's focus this year is to embed the reforms of the past period into routine practice and ensure that stability translates into durable confidence, effective intermediation, and predictable markets. Monetary policy will remain measured and forward-looking, anchored on price stability and supported by clear signaling and consistent liquidity management. The objective is not to surprise markets, but to reinforce credibility through continuity. In the financial sector, supervisory attention will shift further toward prevention rather than cure. Greater emphasis will be placed on governance, on the quality of governance, capital and liquidity planning, and early risk identification, ensuring that vulnerabilities are addressed before they threaten stability. In the financial markets, the priority is consolidation in 2026. Recent reforms will be deepened to support orderly price discovery, disciplined market conduct, and improved confidence across the foreign exchange and money markets. In payments and digital finance, attention will focus on resilience and safeguards as usage continues to expand. Oversight will be strengthened to ensure consumer protection, sound governance, and system reliability, while innovation proceeds within clear regulatory boundaries. Finally, 2026 will mark a transition in how national strategic initiatives are anchored. Programs introduced during the period of adjustment, including those related to gold, will move toward more sustainable institutional and fiscal arrangements, ensuring shared responsibility and long-term viability. Across all areas, the emphasis this year is quality over quantity. Strong institutions, disciplined markets, and policies that endure. My friends, it is important to remember that behind every policy decision are real people. Real people, we are talking about households that are managing rising costs. We're talking about businesses that are navigating uncertainty. And we're talking about workers that are concerned about jobs and also concerned about their incomes. Therefore, trade-offs are unavoidable, and no decision is taken by us lightly. Our responsibility is to act in the long term public interest, even when the short-term choices are difficult. Trust in a central bank is built not by promises, but by consistency, by transparency, and by integrity over time. So how do we strengthen our partnership as we look ahead? My friends, as we look into 2026 and beyond, we are committed to deepening our collaboration with you, the media. We will expand our media training programs, and I'm sure you are aware of these, and we will introduce a dedicated forum for editors, for producers, for presenters, and the many behind-the-scenes professionals whose work shapes the news and content that we consume, even though they may not appear on the visible or audible stages alongside our regular press corps. In addition, we will launch an internal recognition initiative. We are calling it the Governance, Economic, and Financial Story of the Year. This is to encourage accurate and insightful reporting on economic matters and Bank of Ghana stories throughout the year. And this initiative aims to inspire creativity and innovation in storytelling across both print and digital platforms. I want to encourage all of you to take up this challenge, and may the best media house emerge victorious. The winning journalist, let me remind you, the winning journalist will be sponsored to attend the IMF World Bank meetings. So through our communications department, the bank will continue to engage proactively on all media-related matters, ensuring that our friends in the press feel welcomed, that they feel supported, and that they are confident whenever called upon to help us share our messages with the public. My friends, as we gather today, let us enjoy this occasion and create lasting memories together. I sincerely thank you for your partnership with the Bank of Ghana over the past year, and your steadfast dedication, and above all, your service to our great country. I eagerly look forward to building even stronger bonds with you in 2026 and beyond. Thank you for your attention.
A round of applause for the governor, ladies and gentlemen.